Good evening, my name is Craig Spence and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the IPC's virtual closing ceremony on a night we should have all been in Tokyo celebrating the closing ceremony of the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. Sadly, a global pandemic put paid to our plans this evening, but I'm pleased that in our own virtual closing ceremony, we're joined by some of the musical talents and stars from Rising Phoenix, the hit Netflix movie about the Paralympic movement. Shortly, I'll be joined by Daniel Pemberton, the composer who wrote the musical score to the film. But before we hear from him, I'm delighted to be joined by Toni Hickman, Keith Jones, and Georgetragic, three members of Crip Hop Nation's artist who recorded the stunning and emotive title track to the film. Toni, Keith, George, welcome to our virtual closing ceremony. It's a bit different to Tokyo, I appreciate. There's less people, but hopefully there's lots of people watching online. But at least we're doing well in terms of social distancing, I guess. I'm in Bonn, Germany. Toni, you're in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
Keith, New Jersey.
Yes.
George, you're in California. So yes, we are keeping our distance, which is good. Welcome, guys, to our virtual closing ceremony. How are you all?
Good.
Wonderful.
Good.
Great.
Well, let's start with the film. I mean, the film's been live for nearly 2 weeks now. Toni, let's start with you, ladies first. Your reaction and what's the last 10 days been like for you?
Kind of like a little overwhelming in spirit, just like, wow, this is huge. And, you know, I'm a part of this major thing that is on Netflix. And even the feedback that I have been getting on social media has been bananas, you know, like people who have never followed me. I'm learning more about other people that have disabilities that are not a part of the Paralympics, just people who identify with the whole concept of the song and the documentary. So it's been bananas. It's been a beautiful experience to just watch it blossom.
Keith, I bet your feet haven't touched the ground, have they, since the film came out?
Well, you know, it's funny because as you know, we're looking at this and it's 10 years, you know, for you at the IOC, it's 13 years for Crip Hop Nation. This is sort of like, it's sort of like watching your baby go off to college, even though, but being with your baby in the dorm at the same time and going to all the keggers. So the last 10 days have been amazing. The work that we've done off track in terms of trying to get people included, not only in sport, but in life, this movie and the documentary and the song, everybody's like, oh my God, thank you. So the last 10 days have been, it's been amazing and affirming all at the same time.
Right.
Brilliant. George, what's the last 2 weeks been like for you?
Surprising, and I've been an emotional wreck. Watched the movie like 3 to 4 different times, cried all 3 to 4 different times, had family members call me, telling me that they cried, had friends do the same. Just shocking, especially when Coldplay initially posted it, the very first, the lyric video.
I think that was remarkable what Coldplay did that. I think we've made the whole world come together and have a communal cry in the last 2 weeks. But hopefully we've given them hope and told them a wonderful story of resilience and empowerment.
Absolutely.
So today in this closing ceremony, we're going to be hearing you perform the title track, Rising Phoenix, shortly. And we're going to be speaking to Daniel Pemberton, who wrote the tremendous score to the movie. But first, I want to find out a little bit about yourselves, really, because you're as new to me as you are to the world now since this movie came out. So, Toni, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have been signed to a major label. I've been distributed under Universal Records with a company called Suave House. So I've been featured on gold and platinum albums before this, but after my disability, things changed. But it slowly started changing in the direction I'm supposed to be in anyway. So that's the short version of my music career. I'm my mom's only child. I've been on my own since I was 15, but yeah, music is my life, and I love doing music. So even when I was in the hospital, I was having a pity party because I was thinking, oh, nobody in the music industry is gonna want a person with a disability. What am I to do now? Like, I was having this pity party. And my nurse said, well, you survived 2 brain aneurysms and a stroke. So the question you should be asking is, why are you still here?
Right.
And this documentary, this song, this interview, everything right now is serving my purpose.
Amazing. George, I believe you had a track on a PlayStation game. Is that correct?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit how you got into this.
In 2001, I was always rapping previously, like in Chicago. I was born in Chicago, and I would rap on there'd be a bus, and I'd have my peers, like disabled peers, with me. So we'd all be on the bus, and we'd be singing and rapping and doing things like that, even as a kid. So those days, I look back at, I wish I could just connect with those, the kids I grew up with in Chicago, but I can't find them. But fast forward to Modesto, California. In 2001, I recorded my first ever album. And then in 2007, that's when the God of War people heard me for a MySpace contest. And I did a song for the God of War 2 soundtrack, speaking about the game and whatnot. Nothing happened with that, but it was still a great experience. And then this happens, Rising Phoenix. I mean, wow, Netflix and Crip Hop and Toni and me, and I can't believe it. It's like, so yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey.
And Keith, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, seeing that I'm the oldest one of the bunch, I'm gonna just keep it to 30 seconds. Been rapping since I started rapping in Brooklyn, 1978. So that should tell you. So I went through, won the contest, Boston's Greatest Rapper 86, was almost signed by the guy who discovered New Edition and New Kids on the Block, still left the Jerry curl stain on my mama's couch. But, opened up, when in college, did opening up for Wu-Tang, Nice and Smooth, Gangstar, Chubb Rock, all that stuff. Did the whole video music box thing. And then, we got close to being signed. But every time we got to the door, your music is amazing, but you too crippled. So 2001, MySpace apparently was on and popping. Leroy Moore and I connected along with Rob the Noise Temple, and we made Crip Hop solely because we kept running into barriers. Not because George ain't dope, Toni ain't dope, we not dope, just solely because our human condition was different. So here we are, 13 years later with Crip Hop. We are now on Netflix, and the Paralympics can see that, much like sport, music shows the human spirit. So this is, so as a performer, hooray. But the fact that we have a global platform now, not only to show sport at its highest level, but art at its highest level, I'm beyond elated.
Yes.
Could you just tell us a little bit more about Crip Hop Nation? Because it's not just a group of artists, is it, with disabilities? You're also a bit of a pressure group putting pressure on the music industry. Is that correct?
Well, we're a pressure group putting pressure on humanity. So it's a group. I mean, we started this really because we kept running into, like Toni, her career should not have been derailed because of your medical condition. George the same, me the same. So our overarching philosophy was to give artists a platform, one, just for their music, but to embrace their humanity. Your disability is not definitive of you, it's an accentuation of your spirit. So that's why Crip Hop came along. So we have poets, actors. Clearly we got dope rappers. We got the best in the game. We have, and so we use art, music, and poetry to influence the dialogue and to shape policy so that when we go out, it's not, oh my God, look at the disabled people. They're out just hey, he's sexy, she dope, he dope, because we're
Right.
just human. So that's the overarching message and the hope. Just much like the Paralympics, yes, these are different kind of games, but the human spirit knows nothing about disability. It just knows it wants to be free. So that's the essence behind crip hop.
Toni, did you see a difference in the music industry before you had your brain aneurysm? So did you see that once you'd been in hospital that the industry changed against you? Or
No, I'm not going to say that they changed against me. I'm not going to say they were for me, though. The reality is there was not a space for me. And if you just think about the music industry as a whole, right now, the only people that you can identify with a disability is Stevie Wonder, right? Now, I personally know rappers with a disability. I know them, and they have to hide their disability just so they can be a part of this industry. That shouldn't have to happen. There are so many amazing rappers, so many amazing talents that are labeled, not functionable because of age, because of disability, because of weight. There are too many boxes in that industry, period. So what I like about this record too is we are breaking the boxes, the mold. We don't have to fit in a box. We are beyond the box. Like I say at the end, we're beyond what you see as perfection. We are beyond that.
what is it, do you think, that triggers this barrier, this discrimination? I mean, there's a line in the movie from Jean-Baptiste where he says, "I just don't understand why society has an issue with difference." Is that the reason? What causes that?
For me, in my opinion, I believe that we have been brought up to think that everything has to fit in a box. We're always it's always put in front of us like opposites. It's either greater than or less than, it's better or worse. It's always these opposites. And so our brain tries to decipher. And so we automatically put these categories, and especially in the music industry, but in life as a whole, we judge according to how our perception accepts what we see. We can't break out of the boxes, like no matter what the subject is, Democrat, Republican, whatever, it has to fit in a box. You have to fit in these boxes, and a lot of things do not fit in a box. They just are.
Yeah, it is.
George, you were telling me last week that you tend to, when you perform, you rap about your disability, but people have told you to try steer away from that. I mean,
yeah, they have. They've told me it's not commercial. It's not going to sell. No one's going to relate to it. I get that. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it's my life. It's my story. It's our story. Like, let me tell it. And there's people that are just like we, so no, I don't believe that there isn't a target audience for it. Obviously there is. The Paralympics, you guys have that audience, so obviously there is. You guys are doing well.
Just tell us about some of the challenges that you personally have faced in the music industry, George.
Well, personally, okay, well, besides music, I mean, even getting a job, I was told, you might need a scooter. You might need to get around quicker, which I get it, but you shouldn't say that to somebody. Another thing I was told was, well, you fall if you go to the bathroom by a major corporation. Just trying to get hired as an employee, not even with music. Now, as far as music goes, oh man, I mean, they just look at me and they're like, where are we gonna put you? Where are we gonna put you? And obviously, I think you guys found us and we found you. So it worked. It was a beautiful relationship.
It's a bit crazy though, isn't it? When you've got like this music industry where you've got all these people coming out calling for equality, yet here we are not being accepting and accommodating for persons with disabilities. I mean, it's a bit hypocritical, isn't it?
Well, I also feel like if there is, like, if we, like, when I go to a company, right, I don't see people with disabilities working at that company. Maybe if we have more of that, maybe you should hire someone that has a disability that can understand people with disabilities when they come into the door. Or, you know, I just don't see it. Even in the music industry, it's almost you're being told to hide it at employment, to hide it when you're performing, to hide it in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And there's not enough education on it. There's education on everything else. Everything else is being accepted. But this, oh no, we should shun away from this.
You hide it. Yeah.
And that's why that everything that you just heard articulated is exactly why we started Hip Hop Nation. Exactly. Because as a person of color with a disability in America, when I walk outside, people go, "Oh my God, Keith, is it racism or ableism?" Take your pick. Right? Okay. So, you know, so it's like, you know, and like you said, George, I mean, like I said, as the elder statesman, you know, I graduated college. No, you're too crippled to go to school. I want to rap. No, Keith, nobody understand your lyrics because you have cerebral palsy. Ain't nothing in my lyrics changed anything about me. I've been black, I've been crippled, if that's what you want to call it. But your talent is not defined by your human condition. How you express it is not defined by your human condition. Toni Hickman is fire. Georgetragic is fire. I just work here. So when it comes along, it's one of those things that the experiences that they've had or the athletes in the Paralympics game have. So when you watch the documentary, there's a lot of subtext to how society views disability or ability. And it's always subjugated or subjective. So my running thing is that if we are intelligent beings, then we should be intelligent enough not to discriminate based on your human condition. It's really that simple.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Crip Hop Nation.
Yes.
The founding member, Leroy Moore, he competed in the Seoul 1988 Paralympics. I didn't know this until the other day.
Yeah, I mean,
it's funny how things come full circle, right?
That's right. It's funny because me and Leroy were talking about it. He was like, "Yeah, I was in Seoul in '88." And I'm chuckling. I'm like, "Were you running track?" Because that's an inside joke with us. But it shows how full circle this is, like you say, George.
Absolutely.
The connection between sport and disability. Whether you're a kid, because in America, if you had a disability, you were segregated. If you wanted to go to gym, you couldn't go to regular physical education. If you wanted to play baseball with your friends and you were the only one disabled, you had to go way over there because we don't let crippled kids play. Right. That kind of thought process permeates the world. So this song, these amazing artists, you all connecting with us and taking a chance to put Crip Hop alongside the Paralympics is amazing because they both symbolize the indomitable human spirit. And so I'm just proud that I got my pupils to get they put on and show the world. I told you they hot. I told in the Paralympics, I used to get mad because we could never find them on TV. Now they're gonna be everywhere.
Okay,
let's go.
So in terms of the Paralympics, had the three of you come across the Paralympics before? I mean, obviously Leroy, the founder, had competed in Seoul, but I mean, had you watched the Paralympics on TV or heard about it, Toni?
I had heard about it. Yeah, I definitely heard about it, but I never watched it. That was my reality. I never watched it, you know.
I think you will now, though, won't you?
Oh, most definitely. I have my eye on some people. So yes.
George, how about you? When I would get my leg braces fitted or worked on, my prosthetic leg braces, I would see posters. And I'd be like, wow, like that's so cool. Like, you know, they're jumping, they're flying. I'm like, wow. But no, I watched I think wheelchair basketball. a few times, and of course
I've done that too. Yeah.
Of course, my friends were like, "Why don't you get in a wheelchair?" My friends too. Why don't you get in a wheelchair and play? Like, you can play basketball too, you know. And I know they mean well, but yeah, like, why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? But it shows that it's there. I mean, they're doing it, right? So,
right.
No excuses. Hey, Rising Phoenix, no excuses.
Right.
Watching it, no excuses.
Yeah.
Well, noted. Keith, how about you? Any Paralympic experience previously?
Well, it's funny. I started in the Special Olympics. So, you know, in America, you have Special Olympics. Special Olympics sort of like, you know, your cadre into the Paralympics. But the stigma of competition, because, yeah, we were cool. Like, once we there, it's whatever. You know, if you're on crutches, wheelchairs, autism, blind, deaf, it doesn't matter. You just where you are. But because, when you're a teenager and you're trying to find your acceptance, you know, you don't want to be tagged with the people who are ill. Nobody wants to be like that. But so when but as I got older, the Paralympics, being an advocate and an activist, I was hot because we could never find it on TV. It was always buried way in the back. And there was always something. And then I'm like, you know, my mother was like, "You're not the only one." I like, apparently I go to school with them. But it's different when you see, you know, when your ambition is displayed in front of you on television. So if you have no legs and you want to run, and somebody's constantly telling you you can't, but then you turn on the TV and you see somebody who looks like you doing that, then whatever is telling you you can't clearly is a lie.
Right.
So when the Paralympics come on, I start telling them, "Y'all better go watch that." "You nobody going to watch that, bruh." Then they call me back. "Did you see the dude with the eye?" I told you. So the Paralympics for me for the last 30 years have been not just one, finally get to see people like I know, and we compete like we know we can compete, but it's also that chance to say, see, just because you're comfortable with me, but you're still ableist outside of the relationship I have, you need to get beyond that. And if you look at the Paralympics, this is showing you around the world that we get it in.
Right.
So, exactly. I think what we need to do is, if we're going to change society's perceptions of disabilities, we need a cultural shift.
Yes.
And sport can play a role in doing that, but so can the entertainment industry.
Yes.
Most definitely.
And much more, and that's why I think this movie is so important, not just because we're showcasing the sport, but you guys are performing the title track, and Daniel's brought in all these artists from all over the world with disabilities who have come up with the most tremendous score. I mean, Toni, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm ready for it. I think honestly, the title of the documentary, the song, everything, it is beginning that process. Rising Phoenix. It's time for us to come out of the ashes. It's time for us to rise. You know, so yeah, it's this documentary is more than just the Paralympics. It's also a statement to wake up people with ableism issues, or not even issues, but ignorance, because I too was ignorant. Like, I didn't see the whole picture. I was still in a box. You know, so I get both sides, but this actually puts it in everyone's face, like, wow, okay, maybe I do need to change my perception. Maybe I do need to see this a different way. These people are amazing, so I need to open up my box, you know?
Well, let's discuss now the title track, Rising Phoenix, which we're going to hear you perform shortly. Yes. George, let's start with you. When did you hear about the fact that Crip Hop Nation, you, Toni, Keith, might be asked to perform a track to a movie?
I don't remember the exact date. I believe it was in July, but I know my school was going on spring break. The funny thing was, my school, I'm going to online schooling at Full Sail University, and they never go on break. So for that week, they went on break, and I got called on a Sunday. Actually, Leroy called me, and he's like, "Hey, they want you to do this and that," and I had no clue. Like Netflix, I had no clue. And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Like, so they called me, and it was Gary. the music supervisor of the film. He called me and he's like, "Look, we love your stuff. Daniel loved your stuff." And then as soon as I heard Netflix, I was like, whoa, wait. And then I was like, I have a week. And then I think I just immediately started writing. I think I wrote 3 different versions of the verse that was written for the song and obviously put out there. And one verse was chosen, but I think I finished that verse within 2 days, and the rest is history. And Toni.
So did you get a demo track sent to you, or did you just write lyrics to any
Honestly,
tune?
I didn't hear any of the rapping or any of the singing. All I heard was the track itself. So I just did what I did, and I wanted to say that when I was younger, I always wondered why me. Why did God put me in this body? But that day, I think I got my answer.
There you go.
Keith, how about you? I mean, what was your reaction when someone knocks on your door and says, "Hey, do you want to sing a song on a hit Netflix movie?"
Well, it's funny because I was the last one on, so it went. I don't even know how George and Toni. I got the song, and then I got a demo track of just instruments. Then I got their song, and I wrote back. I was like, "The hell do you need me for? That song is fire. I don't need to be on it. It's done." And they were like, "No, we need to put you on." So I actually I heard the hook, I heard George, I heard Toni, and then I heard the instrumental. So I just wrote. It just went on about my business. So I got the track Sunday night. No, actually, I got the link to the rough cut. Watched it on Monday. Wrote the verse in about an hour. Recorded it in a room with guinea pigs screaming, and sent it back. And I was like, I hope you like it. Good luck, right? But again, as you know, one of the founding members of Crip Hop, I wasn't really concerned about me. I was just really excited that George and Toni had gotten the shine that they deserved. And so the fact that I'm on it is hooray, because I've been rapping forever, but it really was about making sure that song reflected the talent that it does, and that the people who I'm rooting for get their shot.
Your part meant everything to us too, because it added a different element.
Yeah.
It added a different element. So we needed you as much as you needed us. And
man,
Daniel too.
Hey, I was doing that. And that's so the fact that we're on Netflix kind of chuckles me, because being a disability advocate in America for the last 30 years, the buzz in the disability community was about Crip Camp. And you know, and people with the ADA and coming out of because the irony is we got the email on the end of the 30th anniversary of the ADA. I was like, hooray! But I'm telling you, it's fire. And I was like, I don't like, there are no words to describe how to see something come to fruition after rejection. You know, hip hop don't want to talk to us. Record labels don't want to talk to us. TV shows don't want to talk to us. Nobody wants to talk to us. Okay, well, here is the dopest hook, the killer lyrics, and the most fire song you're going to get. I would dare say it's a song of the century, but that's just me.
I mean, what you've created is an absolute Paralympic anthem. I mean, the amount of WhatsApp messages I've had in the last 2 weeks from athletes going, "This is all over my playlist. I'm just playing it out in the gym on repeat." The lyrics mean so much to me. And what I love about this track is the first time I heard it, they didn't tell me that all 3 of you had disabilities.
Oh, wow.
Really?
So I just heard these amazing lyrics and I'm like, the track is outstanding. And then they yep, all 3 have different disabilities. And I'm like, that's amazing. It's absolutely, because then you realize the lyrics have come from so deep inside you. I mean, Toni, tell us about the lyrics to the song, because they are so powerful.
My eyes just started watering when you said that. But the day that I wrote the chorus, I was in my emotions just about some stuff about life. And so but the whole chorus was not just that one part. I'm a rising phoenix. Like, it was more than that. I had more than that. And so Daniel took that one part and looped it.
Yeah.
And it just made the whole song, it was just like, voila, that's it, you know? So yeah, for me, with the hook and the chorus, I was feeling it. That's why the song, you feel such passion in the hook. It's because I was in my emotions, and that's what artists we do. We get in our emotions, and then that's what comes out. And that's the same with George on his rap part. The same with me with my rap part. Like all of it is our emotions, and it came out so prophetically on this track. I think it is something that, like, a friend of mine, I shared it with her, and she was just like, you know, the song made her emotional, not just, and she doesn't have a disability. She said, I don't have a disability, but I compare it to my traumas that I grew up with in my life and the trauma that I deal with even being a Black woman in America. She said, I still can relate to this track because I understand it. So I hope it hits the world like that across the board, because we really did put our all, our soul, and I think it was divine. I think everything that was said on the track was supposed to be said on the track, and it's supposed to do some things. And I'm grateful. I'm beyond, and let me say this, because I've been meaning to say it for a minute. I am so grateful for Crip Hop. It is organizations like Crip Hop. If it wasn't for me being a part of Crip Hop, I can't say I would be on this song. But it's because of everything that Leroy is the one who found me. But him and Keith, whatever they have built, has built a foundation enough where Gary was actually able to contact Crip Hop because he knew that that was the company to go to find artists with disabilities.
Sensational. I mean, I think the whole world knows who Crip Hop Nation are now, and 3 weeks ago, no one did.
Right.
George,
Right.
The lyrics, you mentioned they just came quickly. I mean, would you say those lyrics are lyrics that you've had within you that have just been dying to come out, and this was the perfect opportunity to just get your frustrations and your views out there?
Yes, and also I was thinking about all the other kids that have disabilities that won't be able to say what they feel. And I was also thinking about Leroy bringing me in. Leroy brought me in. I actually found Leroy, and I was doing my own thing called handicap hop. And I was like, you know what? I need a group of people that have disabilities. And I happened to stumble on Leroy. I have no idea how I found him. And then I asked him, and then we became friends. And I was thinking about Leroy too when I wrote that verse. And I was thinking about all the kids, all the young kids right now that are going to like education through school. Kids that guys that have told me that they can't drive when they probably can drive, but they don't believe in themselves. I was thinking about all of that. Guys that feel like they can't get married because they have a disability. I was thinking about literally all of it. So I was just like, and also obviously my life, but more about them too, like fighting for them, trying to get their words out. Maybe they can't articulate what I can do on this song the way I can do it, so let me do it for them.
How does it feel, Keith, we'll ask you this question. How does it feel like the athletes in the film are role models for future generations of kids who might want to get into sport, who might have disabilities, who realize they can live a full life now? How does it feel to know that the three of you are also role models now because you've performed this amazing track, and you're probably going to inspire a whole generation of performing artists with disabilities?
It's I mean, for me, in the fact that it got to the world is just a culmination of a long, winding journey. Outside of the shiny stuff that Crip Hop does and people attaching us to the song, you know, we have done, you know, we put on shows, we've given artists platforms. We celebrated 10 years 3 years ago, where we brought in, you know, poets using communication devices, break dancers using, you know, prosthetics and things like blind DJs, deaf rappers. Like we've done that. And every time we've done it, people go, oh, that's nice. And this right here is, validation is not the word. It's more an affirmation, because again, the way the Paralympics started, and how it started, who started, and how his family and his life was taken, not because he wasn't brilliant, but because he had a different ethnicity. And they separated him out. And his vision to see, these injured soldiers coming back, just altering their different human condition. So the underlying tenets in the history of the Paralympics is much like the underlying tenets in the history of Hip Hop Nation. Nobody wanted disabled rappers. Nobody wanted blind DJs. Nobody even knows that deaf rappers or deaf DJs or like all that, particularly if you're in Africa or you're in other countries, other continents where disability is definitely not only a cultural stigma, but could be a death sentence at birth. So to see all of this happen, to see George go from somebody can't say you're too crippled to rap or whatever, to being an international role model. Toni, already know I told her she's the first lady of Hip Hop Nation. And that kind of stuff, it's giving people, me, I just work here. But the fact that they can stand on the platform and somebody can look and say, as a Black disabled woman, I can look at Toni and go, I'm the ish. I can be that. I look at George, I can be that. I can be Leroy, I can be that. I could be BB in the sword. I can do all of that. That, to me, if that's what being a role model is, I'll take it all day.
George, what was your reaction when you heard the final track all together as one?
We're superheroes. I've said it plenty of times. I think that's what Daniel did. I kept seeing like comic book characters in my head, and I was like, man, this is crazy. This is really great. And the fact that Coldplay, I keep going back to Coldplay, but because guys like me with no streaming, like I don't have a lot of monthly listeners. I don't have a lot of, I put out music and it goes to kind of deaf ears because people go with what's popular. So they don't really go with their gut feeling and what they really like. That's all nonsense. I don't believe that. So people go with what's popular. So for Coldplay to even acknowledge us was amazing. For the Paralympics to do the same, for Netflix to do the same.
Man,
I mean,
all of it.
I don't know what's gonna happen. All I do know is we inspired the next us.
Had you seen the film by the time you wrote the lyrics or not?
Oh yeah, Gary sent us all a link of the film. So even in the last part where I say I'm running from my dreams 100 miles in one leg, yeah, I'm talking about Baptiste because that's his story, So yeah, I had seen it, but I identified with it. That's what brought the tears out of my eyes because I identified with the issues that people with disabilities can face and the greater than, less than, like how the Paralympics were always competitive with the Olympics or, being put down because of it. Like all of that was changing for me. It was really touching in the heart and it helped bring those lyrics out. So, and at first when I did it, because like I said, the whole chorus was not just the singing part. So Daniel was like, yeah, this is a bit heavy. I don't know if we're going to be able to do all that. Because I had this, I'll be damn, like, you're not going to put me down. Like,
oh, yeah.
To come box everybody. What? That was my energy on the song. And he's like, hold up, we got to tame it down a little bit.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
George,
yeah.
what was your reaction when you saw the film for the first time?
I'm like, this is gonna speak to I wish I had this when I was 9. When I was 9 years old. I wish this movie came out. I don't want to cry.
Yeah.
Keith, I'll come to you whilst George.
When I watched it, I got the link. I watched it, And it's funny because when Leroy called and in the link, so that night, so I didn't sleep for 46 hours because I was mixing and editing the video that Leroy and I was doing for my 88 story. So I had to mix and edit that, do the song and record that. So my friend was like, he's like, what are you doing? I'm running back and forth. But when I watched the movie, I said, yo, you got to see this, because as being a person who's been in the documentary and have, worked in disability, they usually come out like, oh my God, listen to George and Toni and Keith, and they're so special.
The pity, right. Mm-hmm.
Right. And this was so not that. And actually,
right.
Right. And I think, and I'm not sure if the IPC really understands, when you stand back and you listen to their stories, particularly whether it's Australia, whether it's South Africa, whether it's Italy, the one common denominator was that in America is that we are proud of who we are, but we constantly got to fight for other people to not put us down. There's only 2 movies that I've seen so far, 3 maybe, where disability is not presented as tragic or even heroic in this. Because even as much as it's the Olympics, the Paralympics, and we're doing all this, it's not, oh my God, despite of your disability, look, you're still, quote, regular. Your disability is regular. And take your ass on and go do your job. And that is essentially what every person with a disability wants. Yes, I know. I wake up with my disability, so I know what I got. You don't need to worry about it. Just let me be who I am and let my humanity speak for itself. So when I saw the movie, because I saw the movie, and then because I had the movie and the almost finished track with George and Toni, I was like, so yes, that's why my playlist says, is it Grammy time?
Favorite part, I just love BB's attitude, man. You know what? Like, I don't give a crap. Like, I'm gonna do this, and that's one thing that definitely stood out. I was like, man, she's fired. She's on to something. But they were all their stories. Like, I think it was the armless archer, where his grandfather. I think it was his grandfather that made him ride. I believe.
Oh no, that was Riley. Riley back the real player.
Okay, it was Riley that his grandfather. Now that really touched me, because I was like, man, sometimes we don't have that. Sometimes as kids, you need that.
Totally.
You need that adult, and his that definitely stood out. Like, seeing him like connect that in his life and how everything, and how he didn't want to be in a wheelchair at first. He was kind of embarrassed of it. All of that was like, wow. I can't pick. I really can't pick. They all had amazing stories.
All of it was amazing, but the number one I have to say is Baptiste. Yeah.
I have to also say that BB's, when she was a young kid, they show her like holding the torch.
Yeah.
And then she's a part of now she's a part of this, like,
right.
Full circle for her too, definitely.
Yeah.
And so this was all full circle for everybody. That's what was crazy.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to hear the track shortly, which I'm really excited for. Before we speak to Daniel, I want you to tell me about your individual music careers. I know you all record music in your own time as well as Crip Hop Nation. Can you just tell us a little bit about that, starting with you, Keith?
Well, I've been at it forever. So one of the things is actually, along with this, Leroy and I put out my 88 Stories single. We've done Crip Hop Nation stuff. So my last foray into hip hop, Vocal Tai Chi Volume 2, will be coming out once I finally get 10 minutes to breathe. But that's one of the second single, Running Against the Wind, is what you guys will be hearing later. So really, and after that, the concentration is to take this energy and to give, the world more Crip Hop Nation, to give more, because the stories that you're hearing just in the documentary, and Crip Hop Nation and all of that, there's the life off the field. So, Vocal Tai Chi Volume 2 coming soon. Running Against the Wind is now on all streaming platforms. And don't forget, Toni and George is out there. Go get that.
Toni.
Well, yeah, my music, like I said, I've been signed golden platinum and but now is now, because that was then and my life is different now. And I've definitely been working. I'm constantly doing music, but I'm also a speaker and a writer and all of these things. But yeah, I'm still doing music, and my next project is gonna be one that I have with a friend of mine. But also, I'm also doing something with Crip Hop, and I'm doing my solo. So we're working. We just working. Yeah, we're working.
George, my friend.
Well, it's been
a very emotional experience this for you. I usually like this at closing ceremonies, George. Don't worry. Usually when it gets to a closing ceremony, I'm in tears of emotion. That just get it all out.
It's been a long. Let me tell you. I mean, I put my music away. I didn't. I haven't been doing music since 2013, I believe. I went to an audio engineering school. They told me I couldn't be a runner for studio. Recording studios. I was getting discriminated against. Then I went to school in 2017, got my bachelor's. Now I'm getting my master's in December. So I put music away. But you guys, it was almost like I was being called to come back to what I really loved in the beginning. And this is just thank you. And I'm not gonna. And let me tell you, whether I get signed, whether I don't, whether no one hears me, whether someone hears me, I'm not stopping for anybody, and I'm not. And this was the calling. It was almost like a callback. Like, what are you forgetting, buddy? Like, do you not? And I want to also say that tragic stands for they'll realize a gift isn't cursed. So every time I touch the mic, you recognize that I have a gift and not a curse. So I'm just bringing that back, and I have a new project out right now. It's called Are You Still Watching? It's on all digital platforms right now, and it's streaming. But there's some kinks that they need to re-upload the album, but we'll see what happens. But it's out right now, actually. So yeah, I'm gonna continue doing music. We will get a Crip Hop project going as well.
I got you.
None of us are gonna stop. I just want you guys to know that.
Yeah, we got you, bro.
I also wanted to say a dedication to Rob the Noise Temple.
Yeah.
I wish he was here to hear everything that's going on.
Man.
I want to say that I never got to meet him, but I want to say that he was a hip hop legend and a Crip Hop legend at that.
That's right.
Dedication to Rob the Noise Temple for sure. This is dedicated to you.
Well, now we're going to hear the track Rising Phoenix, the title track to the Netflix movie. So let's hear how it sounds.
There's a young boy walking through obstacles, cut up from all the surgeries, prosthetic picture perjury, telling me I'm normal, but normal they never really made me see. They always painted me, discriminated but levitated through all the hated scenes. So I redrew how they made it seem. And that's what you feel around vultures and all the fatal schemes. They wanna label me a cripple, that's the way it seems. Take away my right to pursue a normal life and leave.
Indeed, for me, I must proceed and shine bright like the sun. Even though I know the darkness will come, it's all temporary. I can be legendary, cause I will never stop believing in me. It doesn't matter what you think I should be. See, I am what I am, I'm the truth. I'm disabled, I'm amazing, understand. Don't you ever underrate me, cause I got a second chance and I choose to be the greatest in whatever the plan is.
All my life, right? I ignite life. I kaboom when I step in the room, so please don't get distracted. Yes, my limbs are fractured, still I rise from the ashes.
Pencil pop around the block, they hit the ground running. They made the danger so long before they to do it. That's why I be so wild. I do this from the lead position, watching how I keep the movement. Cause I come intuition, persona not to this, but just the limit. Because they arrive and they arrive.
life I see. A simple thing like riding a bike, we are alike. How is that enlightening me? There's so much fighting me, cause my superpower, it makes me different, there's light in me. Wait, how many obstacles I gotta break? How many fights I gotta face? Just to make you feel my fate. I shake, then I break down, yeah. But I take all the weight down.
Rising Phoenix, I rise above you. I'm a rising Phoenix, I rise above you. People make fun of what they don't understand. Look at me cause I'm different and can't do what they can. But belittle me you won't because I am what I am. I am amazing, a different feeling which your brain cannot cram. I'm different. Often inspired by pain, inflicted by the inhumane with hearts as black as the grain. My disability is silent, but my bottled up rage got me running from my dreams 100 miles with one leg. So how dare you try to remind me that I don't fit into your perception? How dare you define me? I'm beyond what you see as perfection. I'm a rising phoenix, I rise above you. I'm a rising phoenix, I rise above you.
All right, you've just heard, as part of the IPC's virtual closing ceremony, the title track of the Rising Phoenix movie. I'm pleased that I'm now joined by Daniel Pemberton, the British composer who wrote the score for the amazing Netflix movie. Daniel, how are you?
Great, yeah, super good. Very happy to be here.
Before we go into how you create a soundtrack for a movie such as this, let's just talk about your reaction to the film, the Rising Phoenix movie.
I mean, it's really interesting because the two directors, Peter and Ian, spent a long time trying to convince me to sort of consider the movie. And I was kind of quite busy at the time. I was like, oh, I don't do any more work. I just need a break. I need a holiday, is what I always say. And then they really were like very persistent with my kind of agent. And I was just like, okay, look, I really like the McQueen film they did. I said, look, I'll meet with them. You know, I'll just meet with them and then, you know, we'll just see what happens from there. So I met with them and they're like, we'll just show you a few little bits in the film. And they had 4 sequences they prepared for me. And the first one was the John Baptiste story about long jump. And I think I was literally like probably about 90 seconds in and I already started crying. I was just like, right, I got to do this movie. Like anything that hits you that powerfully straight away. And then the way they were shooting it and making it like just feel like it didn't feel how a lot of these movies, like a lot of documentaries are made that have such great style and elegance to it. And I got very excited by that. And then they showed me some other clips with Gutman, Bebe, and I just like, I've got to do this movie. It doesn't matter what I've got to do, I've got to do it. I just thought it was such a strong project and just so moving and powerful. And as someone, on the other side, it was just recapturing that kind of magic of what the Olympics and sports can be. And I'm not even like a big sports head, but I loved the magic of 2012 and the way it kind of brought out the best of everyone, really. I was kind of seeing that in this film.
Creating a soundtrack for a movie, I mean, where do you begin? Do you watch the movie in full, or what happens?
I mean, every film was quite different. So this one was particularly different, I think, because I was trying. Like early on, you need a way in. You don't know what the way in is. You don't even know that. Especially documentaries, you don't know what the story is sometimes. Like with a feature film that's like dramatic, you've got a script, you've got like we're going to go here, and get to this point. But with a documentary, you're often the filmmakers themselves are still trying to work out how to put this whole thing together. So you're kind of going on that journey with them. And very early on, we tried stuff that was, I started off just fiddling around with some ideas that were very abstract. And we, right from the beginning, I had this idea that I wanted to try and use disabled musicians on the score. But I didn't really know how it was going to work. I didn't know what I was going to write. And it took quite a long time of just me fiddling around, really. I do a lot of like messing around with ideas, and they might like them. And I'm like, no, actually, I don't think it's good enough. And I think the real thing that kind of like turned it around for me was the kind of main riff, which was the boom, 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 which was actually just me fiddling around here on the guitar. And then suddenly I had something I felt really captured the film, in the sense there's like kind of determination, there's a sort of power, an aggression, an attitude, and a fight, which I think everyone in this film's got. And that, for me, was another thing about the way they wanted to present this movie, was, I think, Peter's often said he didn't want to be a pity clap. He wanted to be like, these are like really determined, strong, like amazing characters, and the music's got to reflect that. And once I've got that kind of sound, you come up with something you're like, oh my God, that's the key to the score. And from then on, everything kind of grew on top in a way.
You mentioned there about the musicians with disabilities that you recruited. What was the starting point for that? I mean, did you know of some people, or did you have to launch a search for relevant artists?
I was familiar with the Para Orchestra before, and I'd also done quite a lot of research online, just looking at, and you know, you look online, it's just like amazing. There's stuff you just go, this is amazing. There's a guy playing the guitar with just his feet, like amazing drummers who haven't really got any hands, but I didn't know what I was doing. Early on, I didn't know what I was going to do for score, and that's the other thing. It's like, because every time I'm trying to do something, I'm not trying to do this. I don't have like a set formula, like here's how we do the score. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm writing a traditional orchestral score. I always wanted this weird hybrid of all these different ideas. So I had a lot of chats. I had some chats with Para Orchestra, but the trouble was, by the time we actually got to the stage of all, like the film all coming together, that was kind of really when we started having the sort of lockdown. And at that time, you couldn't do anything with anyone, like you couldn't even get in the room. So that kind of whole idea got slightly shelved, and I had to kind of improvise on the booth a bit. And that's where we ended up doing a lot of stuff with people remotely that we'd sort of discovered. And so I'd write things here, and then we'd get them to record their parts like remotely over the internet.
How difficult was that remote working and not having everyone in the same studio?
Yeah, it was definitely challenging. And I mean, I think for anyone it's challenging, just because a lot of musicians are used to just turning up, and that side has been prepared for them already. And I think, you know, whether you're able-bodied or disabled, I think that's still a challenge for anyone. But, you know, obviously, to add on top of that challenge, the challenges of just self-recording and not being able-bodied, that brought other challenges. And I found that actually that was really fascinating for me as well, just because it was just another way of opening my eyes a bit to other people's challenges they face, which I don't even think about. And even things like one of the things I remember was trying to get the score, sent the score parts over, and then we actually had to make them twice the size just because one of the players had partial sight problems. And these things that would seem incredibly straightforward, like every day to me, you suddenly realize that's quite a big challenge, you know, and it's just trying to adjust and address those, which was really good for me, because it forced me to actually see the world through other people's situations a bit better.
So let's talk about the title track, Rising Phoenix.
Yeah.
That you collaborate with the Crip Hop Nation.
Yeah.
How did you come about the Crip Hop Nation?
Well, it's really fascinating. So early on, we talked about trying to do a song, and then we sort of toyed with this idea of getting like sort of like a kind of famous person to sing a song based on the theme, but it never really felt right to us, like for the story of the film. And we have this great music supervisor on the film called Gary Welch, and he did some research, and he tracked down this guy Leroy, who runs Crip Hop Nation, which was this kind of umbrella organization to sort of promote and shine a light on disabled hip hop artists. So we got sent like a load of tracks by all these different artists, and they were all great, all completely different. And we just went through them, me with the directors and Gary, and we just went through them and just thought, okay, this one's got a really good, interesting voice. This one's got really good lyrics. It's got great flow. And we just found like 3 artists that I felt would work really well together. And it was like how that track has turned out so much bigger and better and more powerful than I could have ever really imagined in a way. And it was almost like a fluke. Like Toni wrote her first lines. So I sent her the track. She started doing some stuff on it. I got it through. I thought it was great, but I was like, oh, it's probably too angry for like just at the end of the film. Like, can you do something that's like maybe like a bit more? Because then watch the film. Can you do something maybe it's got like a bit more of the inspirational side to it? But I loved what you did. I just don't know if it's right for the second after the film ends. And so I had like 2 raps from her in a way. So I had like what we have at the beginning, and I kind of had this other one. And I thought, oh, that's probably too angry. So I'll push it this way on my screen. Then I got the stuff from Georgian and the stuff from Keith. And then it was just this sort of magic alchemy of like suddenly all these bits coming together. And like really interesting things with Keith, the way he'd recorded his vocal and the sound of his vocal, it didn't cut through in the same way the others did over the track. So I had to like make the track a lot more minimal for his moments, but they work really well. And then the ending, which is so powerful with Toni's, that's basically a mistake. I would love to pretend that I was really clever. What happens, I'd sort of built this track, and I was sort of sitting here fiddling, playing on the piano, and all the drums had stopped, and I was just still playing the piano. And then this bit of music, the first rap of Toni's that I sort of moved over here, just came on, and I'm still playing the piano. And I'm like, all right, there's no drums, it's just me and the piano and her. And I was suddenly like, wow, this is like really powerful. We've just got these goosebumps up here, which, you know, you don't get very often. But when you do, it's really special. You know, you've got to keep hold of it. And then that's kind of how the track came together. And then we did a lot of like little fine tuning and things, but it weirdly came together like almost like magic. It was.
What did you think when you saw the lyrics? So like, when I was chatting with the 3 of them earlier, they were saying how when they had the opportunity to write lyrics for such a song, it was as if all their years of emotion, discrimination, every emotion they could feel, they managed to put down on paper and put into lyrics in the song. I mean, did that have an impact on you when you saw what they were?
I mean, completely. I mean, the first time you hear that stuff, it's, I think like really great lyrics like allow you to see the world through like someone else's like viewpoint, and they allow you to see the world differently and experience something differently. And I feel with those lyrics, straight away you're experiencing their lives and their feelings and their power, their emotion, their anger. And I'm kind of really blown away by how powerful they were. Because I was thinking like, what we can do, we have to like maybe take a few lines, and I had no idea how this would go. And all I really had to do was just make everything look nice, and they did all the work. I just moved it all about a bit and just made it so it makes a nice little flow. But I think there's so much truth in what they are saying. You can feel it, and I think that it's rare to get such authenticity and truth in a song. I think you know it when you hear it. And I think this song has so much authenticity and truth, which is why I think it connects with everyone. Like it does. Anyone who hears this song, doesn't matter what their background, they connect with it. I think that's really powerful.
I was chatting with someone earlier today, and now we were discussing the track, and the person who'd I was chatting with didn't realise that the 3 artists had disabilities, and that sparked us into this whole debate about the discrimination that persons with disabilities face in the music industry. I mean, what do you think? Do you think this could open up opportunities for more persons with disabilities in the music industry, from contributing to the musical score, but also this title track?
I mean, I really hope so. I mean, it's very difficult as well, because one of those things we talked about it like during the process, and we're like, do we want to like highlight this fact, or do we want to not highlight it? And I'm kind of the feeling that the more kind of like people you see who have disabilities doing things we don't even do, that's for me, I'm not disabled, so I have no idea, but I feel to me that's powerful for everyone else, because it changes your perception of how you've been sort of like indoctrinated to think about people. But one of the things I love about this track is like, if you look at like Keith's rapping, which is sort of after the first chorus, he's got quite severe cerebral palsy, which changes the way he speaks and changes the sound of his voice. But it sounds amazing, and it sounds like nothing I've heard before. And as a musician and a composer, I'm always searching for things that sound different. And I think like stuff like that is amazing, because you don't hear that anywhere. No one else can get that sound, and it's a really cool style. And I think both Toni and George as well got amazing like backing skills. I did not have to do any work to what they did. I wasn't like sitting here, you know, tiny bit of editing, but I was not sitting here going, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? And I really hope that this allows them and other artists to break through a bit more, and just, you know, and people want to check out their music and check out their stories.
So in terms of what was your reaction when Coldplay launched the lyric video a few weeks ago?
I was stuck up a mountain in Wales, like desperately trying to get phone signal. So I knew it was coming at 5 o'clock, and I was actually on holiday up the mountain, and this big walk. And I was like, I really want to drop all the information about all the other artists, George, Toni, and Keith, and Leroy from Hip Hop Nation, at the same time as Coldplay drop it, and then do this whole like super synchronized, you know. But I was stuck on a mountain with no phone reception, lost like miles and miles and miles away from like a hint of a phone signal. But it was really great to suddenly get a phone signal and be like, oh my God, this many people watched it, and people. And I kind of think with this song, it's like once you hear it and you experience it, it's, you know, you can't escape it anymore.
The reaction from athletes, and I mentioned this to the trio earlier, there's so many athletes now say this is their #1 song on their playlist for training for the Tokyo Paralympic Games. It's become a Paralympic anthem overnight. I mean, is that what you were trying to create? I mean, I also think someone said to me, it's like a Bond theme tune. Is that what you're trying to create?
Well, I mean, it says the name of the show quite clearly, which is a very Bondian trick of like, here's the name of the film. I really like the idea for the piece was to create something that was really inspiring and had that kind of like in the same way the film is really about this kind of dedication and determination that you have when you train, and that like single-mindedness of like just going for something, and also everything that moment builds up to, you know, like the Paralympics is a moment for people they train forever to get to, and I wanted that song to have that kind of element in it. And I mean, that for me is like the greatest reward with this, is like for it just to touch like one person and for them to feel that from the song. Like I feel like I felt that from the song. I just feel if anyone else gets that for me is like the greatest reward, because when you make any kind of art, if it inspires other people, and I think art's all about like making people see the world differently, making people feel differently, and anything you can do that helps that is really exciting. And I feel with this track, it's kind of almost, I can see that being more apparent and easier to achieve than other things I've ever done. So, and also, first time I played it to directors, this was great. First time I played it to directors, we were on a Skype call. And I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to show you what we've done, okay? So just turn it around. And then they started crying during me playing it back. And Peter has glasses on. You have to keep taking his glasses off. And I was like, that's the reaction I wanted.
So when you watch the final movie and everything's put together, do you get as emotional as I do when I'm listening to the music and watching the amazing images, or are you like
none? I'm a mix. Like there's still bits that always get me. I've seen the movie so many times, but I've spent so long and worked so hard to make sure you feel like you want to cry at this bit, or like most of what I've been trying to do in this film is just fine-tuned moments, like the really key moments for me, just to make you like really, really get into that section of the film. Because the thing about this film is these stories are all brilliant, okay? So inspiring and powerful and emotional, and you're going to get a really strong reaction from them, even at the worst music in the world on. But every tiny like fraction I can make that music better and more powerful on those sections, the bigger your hit's going to be of like impact. And so I spent ages. It's like, I don't know, it's like fine tuning it. It's like a Formula One car where you're just constantly tinkering with it just to get an extra like millisecond over the finish line. And again, I think the film is also, like I say, like the song, the film is bigger than everyone in it. Like everything, it's like everyone involved in this film has made something bigger than all of them put together in a way. It's like the athlete stories are not just the athlete stories. It's like where they are now, how they got there, and also their just drive, and then you've got filmmakers who've got these stories, and then there's something bigger to do with humanity. It's really powerful.
It's a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece. And on behalf of the IPC and the Paralympic movement, we can't thank you enough, Daniel, for your contribution to a film. I think it will be the IPC induction film for the foreseeable future, where an employee comes in and goes, well, so what do we do at the IPC? Watch the Rising Phoenix, and they'll be taken from the word go. So yeah, we're super excited, and like I say, thank you from everyone. We're all singing the Rising Phoenix song in the office, and we're so pleased at the final product. So thank you, and hopefully we will see each other at the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games in 1 year's time. So Daniel Pemberton, thank you very much for joining our virtual closing ceremony.
Thank you.
Keith, Toni, George, the stars of Crip Hop Nation, performers of the title track Rising Phoenix, thank you very much for joining us for tonight's closing ceremony. And who knows, in 12 months' time, we might see you in Tokyo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
I really
We're
want
coming. We're coming.
Passport ready. Passport ready.
Let's hope.
There's a young boy walking through obstacles, cut up from all the surgery, prosthetic picture perjury, telling me I'm normal, but normal they never really made me see. They always painted me, discriminated but levitated through all the hated scenes. So I redrew how they made it seem. But that's what you feel around vultures and all the fatal schemes. They wanna label me a cripple, that's the way it seems. Take away my right to pursue a normal life and live.
Indeed, for me, I must proceed and shine bright like the sun. Even though I know the darkness will come, it's all temporary. I can be legendary, cause I will never stop believing in me. It doesn't matter what you think I should be. See, I am what I am, I'm the truth. I'm disabled, I'm amazing, understand. Don't you ever underrate me, cause I got a second chance, and I choose to be the greatest in whatever the plan is. All my life, right? I ignite like a kaboom when I step in the room, so please don't get distracted. Yes, my limbs are fractured, still I rise from the ashes. I'm a rising phoenix, I rise above you. I'm a rising phoenix, I rise above you.
On your markets at the pistol pop, I'm out the block to hit the ground running. No lazy days of sun with the storm, the human being born to do it. That's why I be so smooth while I do this underneath the ditch. Watching how I keep it moving. Use it, you lack of intuition. Presuming my predictions in the BS. 5 and 8 arise, transform the light before the eyes and into the sky. They ask you for a while, but Phoenix rise.
Lead with example and do everything in life I see. A simple thing like riding a bike, we all alike. How is that enlightening? It's so much fighting. Cause my superpower, it makes me different, dislighting me. Wait, how many obstacles I gotta break? How many fights I gotta face? Just to make you feel my fate. I shake, then I break down. Yeah, but I take all the weight down.
I'm a rising phoenix, I rise above you. I'm a rising phoenix. people make fun of what they don't understand. Look at me cause I'm different and can't do what they can. But belittle me you won't because I am what I am. I am amazing, a different pill in which your brain cannot cram. I'm different. Often inspired by pain, inflicted by the inhumane, with hearts as black as the grain. My disability is silent, but my bottled up rage got me running from my dreams 100 miles with one leg. So how dare you try to remind me that I don't fit into your perception? How dare you define me? I'm beyond what you see as perfection. I'm a rising phoenix, I rise above you. I'm a rising phoenix.